up, everybody? Welcome back to the Mind Flux podcast. We got episode 21 coming at you from downtown Indianapolis. As always, we're in Wave One Media and in our studio. So we have Benji Got Beats with the audio. We have our new assistant, Jasleen, with the camera today. I'm one of your hosts, T-Parm Teach, and my other host,
J-Matt
Bow. And we have an amazing guest today. I'm so excited. We had some trouble getting her here, but we figured it out. She is an incredibly powerful young woman. She has founded a nonprofit and another company and business of her own that she's running full time. She has the Melanin Girls Club and Worthy of Evolving. Introducing Chare'A.
Hi.
How are you? How are you today?
Good. Thank you for having me.
No problem. So, I want to dive into your story, but before we do, can you explain to us and our fans Worthy of Evolving and Melanin Girls Club? Because the content on all three, like those two pages and your personal, is just incredible.
Thank you. So I'll start with Melanin Girls Club. It started off as just an Instagram page where I was kind of creating art and doing things as a creative outlet for myself, mental health wise, and just creatively just letting things out. And I was reaching so many people that like they were following. They were like, "Oh, you inspire me," but they didn't know it was me because I was doing it anonymously. And then after that, I graduated college and I decided I wanted to do something more with it. And I took it to the next step. I made it a nonprofit. I didn't want to profit off of people's pain because essentially what I'm doing is going around and helping heal in the community, diversifying self-care, holistic care for people everywhere. And so now I'm hosting events in different cities across the nation. I have VIP club members that represent different aspects. I have like a cannabis doula who's on my team and a whole lot of cool people, a lot of cool things that are basically doing the same thing, elevating and healing people in their community while also healing ourselves and doing that across the country. And so that's been pretty fun, but also enlightening too.
Yeah.
And then I'm a business. I've always loved and had the idea of having my own business. So I started Worthy of Evolving, where I could share the resources that I was giving to people, women and men. And then I own a garden, so I plant and I harvest fruits and vegetables. And I grow my own herbs, which I make like bath teas and do all this stuff with holistic health care and give people those tools. And so I have an online self-care and crystal jewelry shop. And so I create, and that's the business of it, yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
Thank you.
So you are like a real life creator. Like you're planting seeds everywhere.
Yeah.
So if this is your first time listening, guys, flux means to change, to flow, so mind flux. In order to change, you got to change. And it all starts with planting a seed, And so the idea of this show is we want to plant those seeds of, how to think, not what to think. And you bring like a really interesting perspective to this because everybody wants it fast, right? Everybody wants all this gratification instantly, but you're literally planting gardens, and that takes time and that takes work, and then sometimes even still things don't go as planned.
Oh yeah.
So where did the word that I think of is kind of like patience? Where did that come from with all of these brands? You were doing one thing anonymously, and then kind of letting that flourish and be known, and then you have your business, and now you're planting this garden and stuff too.
Yeah. Patience and sacrifice. I took a lot of time and dedication. I disciplined myself. I'm really big on fasting and things like that, which that requires patience. It requires discipline. And so I did a lot of things and sacrificed a lot so that I could get the things that I wanted. One of my favorite affirmations, I made this up, and I say it every morning, and it's, life is not happening to me. I am creating life. So for me, every single day, what am I doing? What am I creating to get to where I want to be? I knew I didn't want to work a 9 to 5 for the rest of my life. I knew that I cared about a lot of things, activism, self-love. I wanted people to kind of have the tools and things that I went through in order to heal myself. And I want people to have access to that at an earlier time so that you know how to navigate that. And maybe I could shorten that journey of pain, but you still need it though in order to grow and develop. So patience, I'm from the south side of Chicago, so everything around me was discipline, patience, sacrifice, and I learned that pretty early on.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Awesome. So when did that whole type of mindset switch for you? Have you always thought like that? Been a creator? When did that transition happen for you?
So I've always been a creator. So I'm really big on writing. I've written. I'm a published author as well. So I basically, though, went through a period of pain. So in undergrad, I kind of lost root of that because I was doing so much stuff. You reading, but the reading is more so about what school telling you to read, not like for leisure. I didn't really have time for that. I wasn't creating anymore. I wasn't into my poetry. I kind of got away from my writing. I'm a big journaler. I have journals from like first grade where I'm like talking about stuff. So like
that's awesome.
Yeah, and I can go back and look at that, but then I'm in college and I'm like not really having the time and taking the time to take care of myself. And so I went through a period of depression. I always have suffered from anxiety. And so climbing out of that, it was just like, okay, well, what do you do? Like, do you just succumb to everything that's around you, or do you like pick up the pieces and you learn how to heal yourself and you take bits and you do it just a little bit every day, and then you can create what it is that you want. So I knew that I wanted to own a business. I knew that I was really passionate about activism and things like that. And so I found a way basically to combine everything that I loved and everything that was innate to me and who I was as a younger person, and just put it into my adult self where I can create the life that I'm doing basically what I love.
Got you. So you mentioned writing. So how has writing helped you? Because like for us, like we write, but not to like Tristan journals. Yeah. The most writing I do is when I write my affirmations or my goals. But it is super powerful. It is, it's something different from when, you're saying something when you actually get to write it and like look at it on paper. So like, tell us your perspective on writing and how and why it's important.
So writing is so important because when you put the pen to actual paper, like things get really real. Like you can manifest whatever it is that you want into fruition. And then more importantly too, you can analyze and see where you've been before and know how to use those same lessons from that period or that time in that place and see that growth. So a lot of the times when you write, like I can see how I was thinking about a situation here and I may be able to apply it to something that's later on in my life. And so that's the creative aspect of it, like being able to just write down, this is what I'm going through, this is how I feel, sorting things out, because sometimes we get so many, like I think a lot. And that was a source of what my anxiety was when I was trying to control it. Like I overthink every single thing. So why not get it out on paper where I can organize my thoughts, see how it is that I'm thinking, and then also to reverse some stuff that I'm thinking, like, because sometimes our minds can lie to us if we listen to it. But we can also train it to, do better and to think better, to change our perspective. So writing to me allows you to do all that. It allows you to put those goals out, see what it is that you want, be able to analyze some things and go back, maybe make some changes, learn. I write about every aspect of my life. And so a lot of that turned into content, like, but a lot of that too is just for me, just to heal and work through things. So
yeah, and the thing that I take away from writing, it's like, you don't want to lie to yourself on paper. Like you can't, because like you're doing your future self a disservice. Right. So like if you're lying to yourself, so you have to, like you said, you put the pen to the paper like that. It's like such an action where it's like talking or looking in the mirror. Like we don't give ourselves credit for how fast we think. Yeah. So if we're just thinking and relying on our memory all the time, that distortion can kind of gets distorted basically. Like and it's not like a real image. To where if we're not on like the right path, which, there really is no defined right path, right, but if we're not, if we are out of alignment and we are not, writing or audio logging or tracking something about that, then we'll have no idea if we wake up miserable one day what got us there. Exactly. And for me, writing is healing because like, I actually was just organizing my room. I'll be like my lease will end in July. I'm trying to clean some stuff out, and just get the crap out. But I have my old journals and I opened one up and it was from 2 days after my son was born. The passage that I opened up. Wow. And it was about my son's mom. She's doing she's doing such a great job as a young mom. I'm on the bus to Iowa and like I immediately was put back to that feeling because I left the hospital to go on a 10-hour bus ride for a track meet and like all this stuff and like leaving her behind and like my family with her and stuff like that, and I was just like immediately thrown in those emotions. And then because of that, it was like a reel, like a movie reel taking me back to where I am right now. Yes. And I was like, wow, like where was my mind? Where was our relationship? Where was life at that moment? And where is it now? Exactly. Yeah. And at a time of anxiety, like now, for example, it's nothing compared to what that was. And I'm like, man, I can make it through anything.
Yes.
And so then if you're having that hard moment and you write, and I don't go back and look through it often because I'm trying to look, forward.
Right.
You really get some clarity about yourself and where you've come from.
Yeah. And it helps you see that, like, no matter what it is, no matter how many bad days that you've had, like, you always overcame. So you could just keep going because you're going to have another bad day. Like, that's why you got to soak up the good moments while you have them and really just fill it up. And, like, people always ask, like, if something's, like, going on, like, why are you smiling so much? I'm like, because I know one day it's going to be bad and I'm going to look back and I'm going to need this feeling. So I want to base skin it. I want to write about it because it's easy to remember, like, we're triggered by, like, bad things. So it's easy to remember that. Like, but you can't remember the good stuff. So it's good to chronologize that. In your writing and be able to look back. I love that.
Yeah, I agree.
So what pushed you to publish a book? Because I mean, I haven't met many like young authors. So like, what pushed you to write a book, and what exactly is your book about? Yeah,
so I've wrote a couple things, but right now I have an evolution journal, and so women or men can write in it, and it has guided journaling, poetry, stories in it, and that's really a large part of that was my writings from my journaling and things. And so I would post on Melanin Girls Club, just the Instagram and Facebook pages, and I would have like these captions, which were like writings, and it would talk about like lessons, stuff that I've been through, but like, I'm writing this where no one knew it was me. So I was able to like create and say stuff freely. And then all these people are like, oh my God, I'm going through this too, or that's great, or this is a great way to think. But like, I didn't put it all in one area. So I wanted to give people access to that. And journaling is such a big part of my life and my healing that I wanted to give more people that. And so I created the Guided Evolution Journal. It has these questions. It has writings, affirmations, and things in it so that people could use that and take it with them. And it's been like a really big hit because it does. I don't tell you how to think. I can't tell you how to heal yourself, but I can guide you into an area where you can do that for yourself. So you could get that positive framework and be able to elevate your thinking on your own. But I'm just giving you a little bit of resources, and so that's where the book came from.
That's awesome. I love the idea of what you said, like about like guiding in a way, like with these resources, which is just in alignment with the show too. It's just like, here are these principles and thoughts from all over, and do with them
what it is you may.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I actually just planted a garden for my grandpa.
Aww.
So he's 80 now. I planted it for him a couple weeks ago. It was an awesome experience. My son was out there just basically trying to destroy everything. But it was this incredible experience to like bring that the life of those plants together. And how has that been healing for you? Because I do want to dive into your story a little bit, but I like to say, if it's good for me, it's good for you. Yeah. Like, we're all humans, right? So, like, journaling, somebody's like, well, I can't journal every day. Well, it's good for me. Right. Figure something out. Right. Audio or video or something. Figure
Whatever
something out. You got to express.
You do.
And creating, people say, I'm not creative. But everybody is in their own way. Yes. Like, when you create any solution. So what has specifically, gardening or planting these plants or literally fostering life been done for you?
So it helps me to slow down. I get it from, I can't take all the credit for it because I actually started out without a green thumb, but it was a lot of patience and it was a lot of learning. My mother she's the embodiment of really everything that, like, people think I'm cool. I'll be like, nah, I gotta meet my mom. Like, but she has gardened her whole life. So like, I grew up where if I got a scrape or a cut, we're gonna get a piece of the aloe vera plant to help. Like, so I grew up with a lot of like herbs and like natural remedies and things like that. And so really just tapping into what my mother and my grandmother had already taught me. Gardening has just facilitated that patience. When you put the seeds down, you don't bear the fruit or the vegetables that we're growing. That takes time. You know what I mean? Sometimes the squirrels steal stuff out the garden and you don't even get it at all. So like, it's just like gardening is a whole learning process in itself. So you practice patience because you're out there and you're watering, and then you kind of try to be cautious of the weather to see like what it's going to do to affect the garden, and like everything around you have to encompass this one space in order to facilitate growth. And so really I think about that within myself. Like, I have to really watch everything around in order to facilitate my own personal growth. And so that's holistically. I got to think about my mind. I got to think about my body. I got to think about my spirit. And so thinking about that and taking yourself out of that, remaining present, just being in the garden and putting your feet in the earth that is a part of life, and it should be done a lot more often because we're taking the grounding energy. The world is just energy. You're soaking that up. And so you're in the garden and you're in the nature or whatever, you take a hike, whatever, you're taking in that energy and you're healing yourself. You're filling yourself back up with something positive. And so that's what gardening is for me.
Wow, that's incredible. And what do you think some of the things like in your story, in your journey, one of the things we really cover for all of our guests is like their backstory, you know, and to whatever, you know, detail they want to share, but the things that they've been through that, you know, young men or women like them have been through, that have kind of either, you know, forced a positive change or made them be able to look back and look at that change. And, you know, what is one of the stories that you share, you know, when you're talking to young women like yourself or just anybody, about your growth and something that you've come out the other end very positive?
Okay, so I'm from the south side of Chicago. I've lived in a couple different areas. I also lived in Gary for a long period of time. Like I said, that's where my garden is located and stuff. So by the time I was in high school, I knew what death was. I knew what gun violence was. I knew the effects of sexual violence. I knew so much around me, right? By 19, I had normalized it. Like I knew, like, okay, this stuff happens and it's not abnormal, actually. I know lots of people that these types of things have happened to. And then in college, I'm like, all right, what the heck is going on? Like stuff is still going on. Like I lost my cousin. He was shot and killed. Then I lost another cousin, and all this gun violence and stuff. But I'm away. So like I'm in undergrad. I'm in school. So I'm not directly in it, but I'm like feeling all the effects, and I'm running from things. I'm like, I don't go to funerals. Like that was something that, not because I didn't want to pay people respect, but because like the last images that I did of people that I loved was not stuff that I wanted to see, you know, at a funeral. I don't want family to only get together when, you know, it's these bad times, like catch me at a birthday party or something, you know? And so like I had all these pains and triggers and things that were affecting me. And my whole life, I was really good at things. So like, and I say that in the most humble way. So when it came to school, that came naturally to me. So like I graduated at the top of my class, and I had never before failed anything in my life. Like if I wanted a job and I applied for it, I got it. And but I had all this other stuff going on that people didn't know about, but like I had never failed at anything. So academics became like something that really shaped my value and who I was. Now I go to college and like chemistry humbled me real quick. And so I'm like, okay, you got all these goals and you're trying to figure out what it is that you want to do. And then at the same time, you got all this stuff going on. So you're dealing with like, I lost my aunt to cancer, but I'm away at school and I'm supposed to be like succeeding and doing all this stuff so I could take care of everybody back at home. And that's what my thoughts were. So like, I'm going to be a dentist, and because that's going to make me a lot of money. You know what I mean? And so I'm like pushing myself to do something that I really like. I mean, I had my reasonings for things that I wanted to do it, but like mostly I was motivated by money. I wasn't doing the things that I loved. And so when you have all that pressure, that's a cooker, right? You got like PTSD going on from things. You're dealing with depression because you're not really happy in your state, and I crumbled. I failed out of a whole semester of my undergrad experience because I was not happy with who I was. I wasn't happy with the way that I was expressing myself. I wasn't happy with, like, why was I put in this predicament? Why do I feel like I have like a whole city on my back that I got to take care of, but I'm in a whole nother place? I wasn't doing things for me. And like that crumble though was like really my breakthrough, because it allowed me to become and to grow into the person that I am today. And so all those things like shaping me, being from the humble beginnings that I came from, dealing with depression, like literally being in a room where you close yourself off and it's dark and you're literally doing nothing. Like I had no energy to do anything. And then the people around me, a lot of people didn't even know, like, because you shut yourself off from stuff. And so all that stuff shaped me into who I am today. It allowed for personal growth. I literally crawled, and it was a fight. Like it wasn't like, okay, you know, it'll be okay or you'll get through this. Like this was a time where I really did not care about being on earth. Like I got into a car accident and it was like the whole world was still. And people were like, were you scared? Because my car had turned over a couple times on 465 and like right before I'm getting to Indiana. And it's the day before Thanksgiving. And then everybody's like, were you scared? And like, how did you feel? And I'm like, I was perfectly okay with not being on earth anymore. And I've experienced that a couple times in my life. Suicide and depression and anxiety is a real, real thing.
It is.
And so now I'm able to like speak from a perspective of like, I'm not above you and I'm not below you. We all are right here next to each other at different parts of the journey, learning, growing, and evolving together. And so like I can speak from that place, and I always tell people that like I'm not this, you know, I mean, I give people tools and I can guide you, but that came because I had to be in this dark place, and I had to go through all the stuff that I had to go through in order to become who I am. I always call myself a warrior because I've been through so much in my life, and a lot of people would have crumbled from a lot of things that I've seen. Like, and you know, it's unfortunate, but it made me who I am, you know?
That's dope. So for you, let's speak about like mental health, because I think a lot of people deal with, you know, stuff mentally. I know we have. We still go through stuff.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to somebody who's like in that dark place, and like what's that first step that someone should take? Like, should they wait for, you know, something emotional impact to happen, or because like people do get like stuck like in one place? So like, what's that first step? What's that, you know, what's the first thought that they should have to move forward, whatever it may be?
So my first thing I would say is to find the gift within that pain. So like, instead of shaping it as like, why is this happening to me, or why do I feel this way, or why I can't shake this, like understand that you got to go through that in order to get to wherever it is that you're supposed to be going next. Because we all have a purpose here, and we all done been through different stuff that has shaped us into who we are today. And so if we don't take from that pain and bear a gift, if we don't and see what it is that it's teaching us, then you're not going to become who it is that you're destined to be. And you'll look at life as a very like encompassing pressure cooker, where every single thing that goes wrong, it could be a flat on the tire that's really just the thing that cracks you, you know? And so like you have to bear through that pain and kind of find what the gift is in that season that you're in. And it sounds sad to say, but you got to feel through it. So like instead of running from feeling sad or running from this dark place, it's like own your darkness and know that you need that darkness in order to experience and really truly feel what light feels like. And so like it sucks that we have to go through this, but we experience so much stuff. Like a lot of people are going through what it is that you're going through. And I think like making yourself feel like you're the only one that has ever experienced this, or making yourself feel weak because, it takes me a lot just to speak to someone because of my anxiety, or it takes me a lot just to wake up in the morning and go to work on time because of my depression. Like, just understanding that you need this. It's okay to feel the way that you feel, and you'll get out of it. Start creating. The antidote of depression and anxiety is creation. Yeah. So when you start creating, whether that be you pick up a colored pencil and you draw on every day just a little something, I don't care if it's a stick figure, you got to get that out. And I always encourage people to just revisit things from their childhood, things that they loved and they did it all the time, just kind of free flowing, like something that you didn't even think about, whether it be sports or whatever. Create. You just have to create and get it out.
Yeah, and man, I couldn't put it together better myself. I agree. I was just talking to somebody, and we were talking about that exact thing, when you're in that moment. And Tony Robbins in Awaken the Giant Within says, there's thousands of words to describe emotions, but we really only use like 12. Yeah. And I don't have the 12 memorized, but if you put those 12 like on a wheel, like a circle, everybody wants to be here. But if you were only to stretch one piece of that wheel, this part I made up. If you were only to stretch one piece of that wheel, like it's no longer a circle anymore. Like it becomes a triangle or tries to be a square, and like it can't evolve. Like you're in this pressure cooker, like this little circle. Yeah. And so you're gonna go around and feel happiness and joy, but then sometimes something's gonna feel sad or stress or pressure, and it's gonna come back up and it's gonna go back down. And by doing that over and over again, it's like if you were to wrap a Laffy Taffy stick around your hand and just keep going and going and going, it's going to get more and more stretched out. And all of a sudden, you're going to have this big accepting like circle. Yeah. And I agree. Like when a lot of people ask, like, how did you get through this? Or how did you get through that? Because I haven't shared everything, but I'm very open just about where I've been and where I'm, going. Because I always say I'm going to live till I'm like 120, but in the event that doesn't happen, I feel like people need to know where I'm at is so much better than where I used to be. Yeah. And when I share that, some people ask, well, how? And I'm like, well, like, what have you been through? Like, if you want some sort of result like this, like, we need to uncover why you appreciate where you're at.
Yeah.
Like, you got to appreciate where you're at because of where you've been through, and that's going to push you to where you're going. And that's hard to do because, like, kind of like you said, you've been through all these things, and a lot of people maybe haven't, but then when something does happen, they may not feel emotionally prepared or something. And part of this show is letting them know, like, they are. Like that's what, this show and our guests are meant to be, is kind of like a guide to where this, hopefully, this episode finds you at the right point where maybe that's the thought you are having, or you're having this issue and you're like, oh, okay, like, here's this little seed of how this person thinks. What if I can adopt that mindset today?
Yeah, definitely. And you have to understand that all the resources that you need are within you already.
Yes.
Like, you don't have to go and become, like, put a head wrap on your hair and start wearing crystals to be what you need. You know what I mean? Like, that is something that I do, and there's benefits in that. But, like, I think sometimes people think of healing or like advancing in their journey as you got to do this one specific thing or read this one book. Like, it's not that. All the resources that you need are within yourself, and you just need to tap into them and center yourself. Figure out what grounding yourself is like, and then you can embody that healing that you need. Yeah,
I agree.
So for you, because one thing I noticed with your pages and everything, and with what you have going on, you're big on community.
Yeah. Yes.
So explain the importance of community and the benefits of that, because we're with what we have going on with Mount Flux and everything, we're in the process of building our community, and I think it's super powerful. But I just want to hear it from your perspective on the benefits and why you see it's important.
Oh my goodness! So, community is literally everything. If you want to go somewhere, you can get there alone. But if you want to go far, you need to go together. And so I think a lot of times, like, we have to combat the crab in the barrel kind of mentality. We have to combat sometimes feeling like everything that, and you got to understand, like, people develop these mindsets because of things that they've been through. So you feel like you got to fight through it, and you can only do it for yourself. Well, like, we're so much stronger when we reach back and we pick other people up and we bring them along. So developing community is something that I've always been around. It's like, when I was younger in, like, kindergarten, I would get in trouble, not because, like, I was failing tests or something, but, like, you're not going to bully no one else. Like, I want everyone to be a part of something. And that's just been who I am, like, from the beginning. So fostering that in a different way, where now it's like I'm traveling around the country and I'm building community against melanin women and men too as well, and connecting. Like, you have to have a community. It takes a village literally to do anything that you want. If you want to bring about change, if you want to create something, if you want to kind of push yourself forward, a lot of times you need a community or a small village around you. Like, and it's important to foster that community as well. So you can definitely have a lot of people around you, but what are you doing to build those people and to make them better, or to reach into their talents and tap into them? Like, so creating community for me it's work. It definitely requires work, because a lot of people don't not that they don't see the value in it, but it can be hard to recognize other people have lights that they're trying to give to you. Because we are in a world where sometimes you reach out to people or you talk to people and you may get a negative experience, but for every negative, there can be 5 positive. So you can't stop that. So community is so important in everything that you're doing. And for me, the activism component of what I do definitely requires community. We raised money and got donations for natural hair products for melanin women in the homeless shelter called Family Promise here in Indianapolis. I could not have done that alone. That took a village to do. So now we got all these natural hair products so that women can be right for job interviews and take care of their children. So when they go to school, kids talk about people all the time. Like, I want them to be able to take care of their hair and not be forced to do one specific thing because you don't have the products that you need. Building community, like, you have to have community with whatever you do to make change or to do something positive.
So how does one, say if someone's just, like, alone, like, they don't have anybody, how does one either create a community or go about finding a community to be a part of?
Good one. So in order to attract anything that you want, you have to embody that first. So if you want to attract good people, or you want to attract supportive people, you have to first be that. If I want support, I got to give support. So how am I supporting people around me? Even if it's somebody that I don't know. A lot of my biggest supporters I definitely have a strong community, but I got support from a lot of people across the country that I did not know.
Yeah.
So like, how are you have to support others though. That came from every paycheck. I was supporting a Black-owned business somewhere in the country. Like I buy from everywhere, but I'm going to support someone else because you never know. And that was before I had a business of my own. So like you have to exude what it is that you want to attract. And so if you want more love, you need to be love to yourself first, and you'll attract more of that from other people. And the universe will manifest that in so many different ways. Like, and you won't even see it coming. You got to make sure that you're prepared to receive what it is that you're asking for. So if you want community, be community. Support other people's events. Go out into the community and put yourself in uncomfortable positions. Like I went to an event in downtown Chicago for LinkedIn, and I didn't know anyone that was there, but I went and I attracted like all these cool people and developed resources and long-lasting, relationships, like just because I put myself in an uncomfortable position. And that's like Melanin Girls Club has really taught me that, because it's like, okay, how are you going to build community? I didn't know the people that were in DC, but I talked to people and I engaged and I exuded what I wanted. So if you want community, you got to facilitate that first around you.
That's what we actually talked about, that like events, like joining a community or finding that tribe and like joining that tribe, like those ideas of what you want or think you want or you just don't know, like there's already people out there doing it. And so you can find those people, and the first one you find might be a bad experience, but there might be 5 more
right after that.
And that comes with entrepreneurship, that comes with stuff like our podcast, like and the easiest way to do it is to do it like yourself, is to be it. Because like if we would have reached out, for example, with this show, we share our story all the time. We made the decision we're going to start. We started like a week later, and we like just jumped in. And if we would have asked a bunch of other podcast hosts what to do and how to do it, it would have taken us weeks to get started. We probably would have been scared. We would have been trying to script it and make it all perfect, and like instead of just being,
being
like
present.
Exactly, and trying to be that resource, like, because I think in a way, as selfless as we're wanting to be with this show, it's almost like selfish of like we want to grow, like we want that next level so bad, so we've got to provide it for other people. Like we want to expand our minds and help so many other people, and so to do that we've got to find a way to do it. Like and it's so ironic because it sounds so simple, but maybe for somebody introverted or somebody who doesn't know what events to join a group, they don't know what to do. And I loved how you shared that as a story. It's like you went on LinkedIn and went to a LinkedIn event, like you were in the right network, like the right platform as a business professional, and went to the right event and found the right people, like. And now you've got connections. Like it's so simple that it's
and it's
scary.
just about conquering your fears too. Like sometimes people are afraid to like ask questions or to like talk to other people, or you think that some people won't want to be a resource, and you definitely will run into people that are like that. Like, but that's like a dime a dozen,
like people genuinely want to be good. Like it. Like, I really have a hard time believing anything other than that. Like, that people want to be good and do better and help other people.
Right.
There is, like, I've never heard of somebody helping somebody and feeling bad for it.
No.
Like, there's a difference between trying to help somebody and taking on that burden. Like I was just reading in a book this morning about this guy came up, on money and wanted to help a friend, but he seeked somebody who helped people with money for his advice first. And the guy was like, do it in a way that it doesn't become your burden. And he told, a story on, how you can bring people up without it becoming, a burden on yourself. Because if it does that, then you won't be able to help other people. So it's like, it's not really a fine line. It's just leading with those good intentions and finding what's best for yourself and those people around you. And I love how you said to get it, you have to be it. Yeah. And it's easier to be it first.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it's not just going to come.
Yeah, because you can focus on just your friends. Like I want us to, instead of like getting together and talking about other people, how about we get together and write down some goals and affirmations? Or like, how about instead of me listening to you complain about like you don't like the space that you're in, how about I help you and always be shooting you some information for you to elevate beyond that? Like it's about being it. It really is, and then you'll attract it in so many different ways.
So I think we've talked about this maybe before on the show, but maybe not in this way. What has been a painful experience of trying to do that and somebody just wasn't with it? Like you tried to help somebody and you tried to send them the information and they're like, I'm not really with this, like, thanks but no thanks on your information, and like you want what's good for them. We have talked about this in a different way, but if it's good for me, it's good for you, right? So like, I want this for you, but I mean, we got to find a way to make it work for you, and they're just resistant. Like, has that happened to you, and what's that been like?
So it's happened to me a few times. But one thing that you have to understand is that people will become ready to receive your help when they're ready. You can't force people to be ready for something. If it's not there, they're gonna remember what you said. So definitely still plant those seeds. But sometimes they're not ready to receive the information that you're trying to give. They want to kind of go through things, and they gonna mess up, and they gonna, go through stuff. But you gotta let them feel through that and still be that embodiment of good energy anyway. And then they'll receive it when they're ready to receive it. But I've definitely given people advice before. They've come to me and then they said, I'm really going through this and this. And then I'm like, okay, well, you need to maybe take these 3 steps just as a beginning and then do that. And then I come back and I'm like, well, did you write anything down? Did you analyze your goals and see how you got there? And they're like, no, but I'm still feeling like this. And I'm like, all right now.
Yeah.
It's only like you can only beat people up into something so much. So you just want to lead with love. You want to lead with light. Let people sort through that information, how they want to sort through it, and let them take the fish, lead the bones. Like I always say that, like they will get there because for the simple fact that in the back of their mind and their subconscious, they want to. They want to elevate. So it's just about their own stubbornness and willing to take action on what it is that you're giving them. But people don't take my advice all the time, and then they come back and they're like, well, Chare'A, you was so right. And I'm like,
I know. A quote from one of my favorite speakers and, business coaches, he says, like, the truth will be understood to the level it can be met with, right? So, like, the same, and that's like Josh has experienced this right now with reading a book again. And it's hitting him so much differently this time, but it's the exact same words on the exact same page.
Exactly.
Hitting
but it's
totally
like you're
different.
in a different place of receiving it.
Yeah, and that truth. And like, for example, like the way to tie this into, maybe entrepreneurship. I used to think, making $1,000 in a day or in a month was a lot of money, right? The guy who said that makes $25,000 an hour. He charges that, and he doesn't see that as a lot of money. And to anybody out there who thinks about money, for example, which isn't all of our listeners, but anybody on entrepreneurship, they think that's a lot, would think that's a lot of money. Me too. First time I heard that, I was like, wow. And it's something I talk about because I'm like, wow, it's still a lot of money. Like I'm still like processing that. But then, to him, it's not because he's done $100,000 an hour.
It's relative. Everything's relative.
Exactly. And so it becomes that idea that the truth is understood at like the level it's ready to receive. Right. And so what would you give to people to get, like, what would you have people do to prepare them to receive that truth, no matter what it may be?
Taking care of yourself holistically. So, like, you can't receive anything if your body and mind is not ready to receive it. So,
your
like,
cup is full.
Yeah, like you have to always be in a state where you're like taking care of every aspect of yourself energetically. So, taking care of your mind, taking care of your body, because that's important, and then making sure that everything that you're doing is allowing you to be receptive of that. So, like, if you're really, really stressed out, or you like have all this stuff going on and you're not taking care of yourself, it don't matter really what no one tells you or what you do, because you're not going to be able to receive the messages. You're not going to have your eyes open to see omens. You're not going to be able to be prepared to elevate or evolve, because you're not doing anything for yourself to evolve. So taking care of yourself holistically, like, that is the root of everything. Like, you can't pour from an empty cup. You can't do anything if you're not taking care of yourself. Yeah,
and you can't add more to a full cup.
Right.
If it's full, it's full.
Right. You gotta know when to let stuff out and to keep going, So just taking care of yourself, making sure that and when I say that, it sounds so like cliche almost, especially in this time where like ad campaigns and stuff are talking about like self-love, and it's becoming this like cool thing, but that work is not cool. Like, it shouldn't be like a fun process. Every aspect, I mean, some aspects of it, but like the real work, that's not fun. It's a dark space, and you should be going through that and evolving through that, and you can't evolve if you're not taking care of yourself.
And Josh, I think you were just saying, like, when you force yourself into that situation, you were prepared to handle like the other stuff. Like when you force yourself, like we're doing a challenge right now, because it's like when you force yourself into the situation, now when one is forced upon you, it is no longer nothing.
Exactly.
Because it's like, I've already been putting myself in this situation. Yeah. This idea, it could be working out. It could be getting up early. It could be eating a little bit better, doing the things you don't want to do.
Exactly.
But are good for you because it's good for other humans and we're all human.
Yeah.
It makes you look at it like the facts don't lie.
Exactly. And one thing I want to say to that too is like, in that process of like being ready to receive something and making sure that you're okay, every day of life is not going to be about like overcoming something that you're like, this big thing that you're facing.
Yeah.
But if you're taking care of yourself along the way, when that big thing happens, because you never know when it's going to occur or what's going to happen to you, like life is so unpredictable in that way. Only thing constant is change. So like you will be ready for when that time comes. But if you're not doing anything to prepare yourself like for a battle, just thinking about it in terms of that, like when it comes, you're gonna be knocked off guard. Like, but if you've been taking care of yourself, you've been eating right, you got your energy levels are up, whatever. Like, okay, if this depletes me a little bit, I know that it's not gonna make me empty. It's just gonna I got to refill from here.
Yeah, and it takes people to the opportunity. Like if we would be doing a disservice to everybody listening right now if we're saying like only when bad things happen you need to be ready for it.
No,
you're not ready for the good stuff sometimes either. Like something great could be right in front of you, like about to happen, and you're just you don't see it because your level of truth isn't there.
It isn't there.
You don't understand maybe what you've been through or had to go through. You don't understand where you are and where you're going. You don't have that plan, or you're not taking care of yourself to see that everything that you're looking for could be right
in front of you.
Right there, right in front of you.
Right in front of you. And you're not even ready to receive it. And walking in your blessing, you just like, what's going on?
Why is life happening to me? Why
Instead
is
of
life
creating it,
Yes.
Yep. And that's that too. I think maybe tweeted that one time before. Like the worst thing that can happen to you, like you're saying, not being able to receive it, it's just not being able to receive it. Like you just have this big blessing in front of you, and then you just freaking
you don't know what to do with it.
Don't even know what to do with it. Like that's like for me personally, that's why I think like we work so hard every day, is because like I'll be damned if like our big opportunity comes and then we blow it, because you don't get them, like you don't get those often at all. So I think that's important. I like that.
Yeah, opportunity has to meet preparation.
Yep.
Like what are you doing to receive the blessings that you want to receive? And if you're not ready, it's gonna miss you. It's gonna walk on by. You're gonna like you've been praying. You haven't learned the lessons, or you haven't analyzed everything you've been through, like you was just saying. And then you get something and you don't even know what to do with it or how to handle it. And I've been through that before, where like in the beginnings of MGC, I'm like working and I'm getting all these opportunities and things that I wanted to happen, and I'm like really, really trying to like hone in and like walk in it, but at the same time I'm like, oh wait, I asked for this and now it's happening, but what do I do?
How do I figure it out?
Exactly. But that came back to I needed to take care of myself at the root of things too, because I can't just be working. Managing 2 brands is hard. It is, and then especially when it's first kicking off and like you just trying to like be everywhere and do everything and take on every aspect of stuff. Like, so walking in that, I went through a period where I was like, I'm not going to do any events. I'm not going to be doing anything like open publicly. Like I did a lot of work behind the scenes, but I had to take some time to analyze like, what is it that I want and how can I receive these blessings and not like take a toll on myself as well? Yeah.
It's literally like riding the tricycle, then the bike with the training wheels, then the bike, then maybe the dirt bike, then the motorcycle, right? Like, everybody wants the motorcycle or the Lambo, but like if you haven't even driven a car, you can't drive the Lambo. Like you can't ride the Harley or whatever if you can't ride a bike with training wheels.
You
like
hit the gas, like whoa.
Right. Like if you can't push the pedals by yourself, you don't deserve to have like a throttle or a gas pedal. Like if you can't pedal your own way. If you can't get there by your feet and then by running and then by the bike, like if you can't at least handle that, you don't deserve to handle the other piece. No. And like it sounds so crisp and clear, but when you're in that moment, that place we were talking about, you don't see it, which is why like this show, uncovering those emotions, uncovering those thoughts, planting those little seeds, like well, what if I did adopt this
Yeah.
thought of how maybe it can, in an instant, your life changes in an instant. But then everything tells you, like, no, your life won't change in an instant. Your life won't change in an instant. No, it will. It will change in an instant. It's the instance that you recognize everything in the past has met to this moment in this opportunity, and you can't recognize that level of truth without looking back and uncover it. And it's just like, it just blows my mind too. Like every day, like I'm writing down every day. I'm writing these things down every day. I'm like, to where when that opportunity comes, I'm like prepared. But then the thought of it at the same time is like, you start to become impatient. You start to feel just like everybody else. You start to feel like your old self.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, boom, it's there.
You're right.
And you're ready, and it's just incredible.
And that's why you got to keep that head down and keep going too, because you would think that like you'll be doing all this work and you're like, man, why isn't this big thing that I want coming yet? But it's like right on that edge of pain, or the edge of that hard work that you're putting in, the sacrifices that you make. Because if you're in entrepreneurship or you're doing anything creatively, it does take a lot of sacrifice. And that's the stuff that people don't really hear about until after you make it, because that's when everybody watching you and care. But it's just like right after that, that's when the good things come. And it does. You just have to be, like you said, patient, really patient and disciplined.
Definitely. So for you, how do you want to impact the world?
Yeah, so I call myself Self-Love Goddess Coach. And my mission is to travel across the world. I want to live, so when I was younger, I said I want to live in a different place every year. And so I'm really kind of doing that right now. So I'm living somewhere new and I'm working at the level of the people. Whatever community that I'm in, I will be doing work and helping impact that community that I'm working in. So I'm already making a difference in a lot of women's lives, and I say that in a humble way. It's amazing to me what I have accomplished in this short amount of time of taking on my dreams. But I want more women to realize their powers that lie within them, and to help heal and to help see people elevate beyond what their circumstances are. And so wherever I am, I'm going to be facilitating that growth, facilitating that evolution within people through events, through bringing people together, through community, through activism, and helping the different circumstances and things that we're affected by in communities everywhere. A lot of us are experiencing the same things, just in different places. And so I want to bridge that gap, bring it all together, and so that I'm trying to be a philanthropist where everywhere I go, I'm just providing that light. I want to be a light source to everyone around me, whether you're my friend, whether you are just someone I meet on the street. I'm nice to people, the janitors, just like the CEOs. Like within my community, I know people's names. Like if I visit these same places, like I just want to be a light source. And that's how I'm going to change the world, by just being first good to myself and then good to the people around me, no matter what level I meet you at.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I write every day. I can work and surf from anywhere, and my travel is structured to do so.
Yes.
So it's like if I go to Europe or Asia, like
No
I can
matter
help somebody. And what's next? Like, so that's what you want to do long term. What is on your radar right now? Like what next 2 months, next 3 months? Like what does summer 19 mean for you?
So I just got back from Boston. I had an event out there with melanin men and women. It was called Vibe and Manifest. And so really I just have a lineup of different cities that I'll be hitting and putting on events where I'm facilitating people's evolution. So I combine the use of meditation. So I teach meditation here in the yoga studio in Indianapolis as well, but through my events and things, movement, so yoga, Afro beats, different things like that, like getting people to move their bodies, art, because you can really detox your mind through art. Like that's something that I do to heal myself. If I'm feeling low or something like that, I go into an art space, I visit museums and things like that. So I incorporate that into my events where it's all encompassing, and then empowering dialogue. So when you get people in a room and then you talk and you share experiences, share resources, share your light in whatever area that it is that you're sharing it from, people can grow. And so facilitating those events in cities across the U.S., like I'm just going to be traveling for the next few months and doing things, and then also working in the community that I'm living in.
Man,
So
it's like the level of service. It's just like I'm trying to get on your level right now.
I really just view myself as a servant to the people. Like if I'm gonna do anything in this world, I had one of my professors who facilitated a lot of my growth. She's one of my mentors, Professor Abagunde at IU Bloomington, because that's where I went to school. She asked me one day. She said, "What are you willing to live for, and what are you willing to die for?" And that question can be like something so small. Like you can brush it off and be like, what? Like, but for me, it was like, what am I going to live for? And what am I willing to die for? Because I was like seeing so much death around me. And I'm like, well, when I die, what kind of mark is it that I want to leave on the world? And that is it. Like, I want to leave a mark where I'm literally working and serving people around me and allowing you to see your own light. Because a lot of people don't see it yet, but I can see it in other people. And I know that everyone has it. So just facilitating that growth and evolution in people around me.
That's awesome. I love that. What are you willing to live for? What are you willing to die for? Because I brought this up to Tristan before, and I was talking to somebody like last week and a half ago about this. Like, they asked me like what my passion is, but I mentioned like I personally I can't put my finger on it yet, but it definitely has to be something I'm willing to die for, because I think once you reach that point, that's when you can add the most service to people. That's when you can make the biggest impact. And for example, I bring it back to like Nipsey Hussle, for example. Like he was willing to die for his message. Like, and clearly the world was receptive to that. Like, or just any powerful person that made a huge impact beyond themselves around the world. Like once you get to that point of willing to die for something, that's like a whole new level of power. Like, and I respect anybody who does get to that point, because that's when you make a true impact. So I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But in realizing that you can achieve that purpose even before you find that what that passion is. Like you just know what it is that you love doing, and you embody that, and then the work will come from that. I knew that I loved activism. I was like NAACP vice president, and I was doing all this work within the community just at the university level and in high school. So I knew that was something I loved. I knew that I loved like diversifying self-care, because the look of what that was largely like white. It was like you see girls doing yoga and then it's like this cute stuff, but I really didn't see myself in a lot of those spaces. And when even as I'm looking things up, and I'm like, I had to really search for a lot of things. So being able to combine all that into something that you love and find that purpose, like, you know, you really get thrust into that. And I actually did get thrust into it, because I had an experience where I had a gun to my head, and then the next day I woke up and I'm like, you know, you going to work every day and you have a 9 to 5, and like you doing something that like you have what it is that you love and your purpose, but every day you devoting hours to other people's time. And so like, what are you willing to live for, and what are you willing to die for? And I knew that this is something that was this for me.
That's awesome, man. That's bars right there.
Yeah, I know. I feel like we gotta lay Benji's gonna lay some beats over this episode, and we're gonna chop up the audio and turn it. Up, yeah, you know? That's amazing. Wow, thank you so much. And for our fans, so Chare'A came all the way down from Chicago. And the address, I did not include the zip code because I just assumed Indianapolis. So she was actually an hour and a half away from us this morning when it came time to shoot. And
only me. Like, this stuff only happens to me.
But you handled it so well. And this is a testament to your character. And I'm so glad we were able to record this episode, because I apologize. I'm sorry. I'm saying it happens. It happens. We're trying to figure out how we can get this show in today. And she still drove all the way down here. Josh is about to head out and pick up his sister. We're all changed our day for a moment like this to happen. Like this organic, like just truth of this episode. And it's just a testament of, you know, pushing through that next little thing. And so we could have easily been like, no, we'll record another day. We'll move another day, or like anything. But like Benji stayed around, you know, Jasleen stayed around. Like,
thank you.
Like it making a show isn't always that easy either. And it may just look like we're on the mic, but things run in, and we all have to change all the time.
And remain fluid.
Adjust and remain fluid to flux, to flow, to change. and it's just really a testament to the show and everything that's going on. And I really, really appreciate your time getting on here.
Thank y'all for having me. I was so excited. I'm like, please don't leave. But no, thank you so much for having me.
I'm glad we could have you. So where can they find you on social media?
So you can follow me at Queen Nefertiti, but definitely follow Melanin Girls Club on Instagram and Facebook, and also Worthy of Evolving. Get your self-care and holistic health on.
That's amazing. And guys, you can always follow us at Mind Fluxed on everything. Benji Got Beats is at Benji Got Beats. I don't have Jaslyne's tag memorized yet, but we're going to start plugging her in too. I'm T-Parm Teach, of course, on everything. And Josh?
You can find me on IG at im.jmat.
Awesome. And it was an amazing episode. Do you have any last thoughts or anything before we close this one out?
No, just keep evolving.
Keep evolving. And I think we're worthy of evolving.
We all worthy.
Awesome, guys. We'll see you in the next one.